family of 5 Spanish tourists, including 3 children, and the pilot were killed as a helicopter crashed into the Hudson River.
The European Union has paused its retaliatory tariffs against the US to give negotiations a chance with the Trump administration.
The EU strongly refutes Donald Trump's claim that EU food is unsafe, insisting these safety standards are non-negotiable and will not be compromised. A 2-day EU-Ukraine business summit began on Thursday in Brussels. The bloc seeks to deepen economic ties with Kiev, accelerate its recovery, and support its path to EU accession.
6 people were killed as a helicopter crashed into the Hudson River between Lower Manhattan and the New Jersey waterfront. Officials say the aircraft, a helicopter from the company New York Helicopters, lost control as it was conducting a regular tour of the city. The crash killed a family of 5 Spanish tourists, including 3 children, in addition to the pilot.
3 adults and 3 children were on board a Bell 206 helicopter that had left from the downtown skyport just about 3 p.m. The pilot and the family visited from Spain with our preliminary information as at this time.
Officials say the helicopter began breaking apart mid-air before crashing at around 3 p.m. local time. Eyewitnesses say loud bangs could be heard as the chopper plunged into the river.
I just saw the plane started falling apart in midair, and then the tail came off, and then just flipped over in midair and started falling into the ground. Propeller still propelling without the plane helicopter as it was falling, and I got video of it flipping into the water.
The Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board say they'll conduct thorough investigations into the crash. The accident is the latest high-profile aviation disaster in the United States. Many are questioning the safety of flying and are calling for tightening regulations and air travel safety precautions.
The European Union has temporarily paused its counter-tariffs against the United States to further pursue talks with Donald Trump's administration on how to resolve what was shaping up to be an all-out trade war. According to the President of the EU Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, the suspension will remain in place for at least 90 days. The counter-tariffs imposed in reaction to Trump's duties on steel and aluminium were approved on Wednesday by member states, targeting almost 21 billion euros in American products. The first draft, worth 3.9 billion euros, was scheduled to go into effect on the 15th of April before the change. The EU bloc had initially been hit by a 20% rate under Trump's sweeping tariffs, shocking Brussels and other capitals. The EU Commission, which has exclusive competence to determine the commercial policy for the 27-member bloc, has been trying to figure out how to respond to Washington's trade tariffs.
In a bid to justify the now-paused tariffs on foodstuffs, Donald Trump recently claimed that agricultural goods from other parts of the world, such as the EU, are unsafe for American consumers and do not meet the US standards.
These other countries are all for this calamity.
The head of the EU Food Safety Agency, EFSA, Bernard Earl, refuted this characterization of European foods in an interview with Euronews.
This cannot be food from the European Union, for sure not. The food in the European Union is safe. It's because of safe production methods, it's because of inspection, because of enforcement of the food legislation, and also because of EFSA. If Mr. President would be speaking about food from the EU, it's wrong.
In this 90-day truce on tariffs called by Trump on Wednesday, the European Commission now faces tough negotiations with the US to avert a trade war. One potential strategy could involve a promise to increase imports from the US to ease trade tensions. But according to Earl, the EU will not lower its food safety standards to achieve that goal.
I'm absolutely sure food safety standards are not negotiable. We have our European standards. They are the highest in the world, and they will stay like that. There might be other trade issues to be dealt with. Yes, it's not my business. But on food safety, there will be no compromise.
Europe's handling of recent outbreaks, such as avian flu, has demonstrated the effectiveness of EU food safety standards.
In principle, we start from a less good point compared to the United States, but we have it under control. In the US, we have now different strains of avian flu. So also here, I would say Europe is a good example.
With the latest pause move, more and more experts believe that the tariffs are just a way to start bilateral negotiations. Although it is difficult to foresee the outcome of all this, the EU looks set to stick with its standards.
Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez is in China as he conducts a two-country tour of Asia. The visit is aimed at boosting Spanish-Chinese trade relations amid growing global instability. The visit comes against the backdrop of serious geopolitical tensions due to U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff war. On Wednesday, as Sanchez toured Vietnam, Trump announced a 90-day pause of his global reciprocal tariffs, a move hailed by the Spanish premier. His U-turn, however, did not include China, which was instead targeted with even steeper tariffs, prompting a response from Beijing. Ahead of his visit, the White House warned the Spanish government against cozying up to China. In an interview to U.S. media, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said looking to Beijing would be a losing bet for the Europeans, likening it to cutting their own throat. Sanchez is the first European leader to make an official visit to Beijing since the escalation of tariff tensions between the U.S. and the rest of the world. China is Spain's fourth largest trading partner and its second largest supplier of goods. Beijing is, however, the 12th largest export destination of Spanish products, a figure Sanchez hopes to improve. During his two-day trip, Sanchez will meet Chinese President Xi Jinping as well as Premier Li Qiang.
NATO countries are wary of deploying troops to Ukraine as part of a reassurance force without a US backstop. Defense ministers attended a meeting at NATO on Thursday, which, according to UK Defense Secretary John Healey, aimed to focus on how operational planning of the coalition could work. The gathering comes after a delegation of French and British military officials travelled to Kyiv to discuss planning. French President Emmanuel Macron, who chaired a summit of leaders on the issue last month, said that not all of the 33 delegations at the summit had agreed to take part.
EU and Ukrainian leaders are meeting in Brussels for a two-day business summit. The focus is on deepening economic ties and speeding up Ukraine's recovery and path towards EU membership. Ukraine's Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal urged European businesses to invest now, calling for Kyiv's integration into the bloc to be fast-tracked.
We are not a buffer zone, we are not a grey area, we are Europe's new opportunity to rediscover its identity. We are ready to become a new contributor and exporter of security, energy, critical resources and digital innovations. Accelerating Ukraine's EU accession is not just a gesture of solidarity, it is an investment in Europe's strength. We call on European leaders to fast-track Ukraine's integration and shorten our path to full membership.
Poland's European Affairs Minister declared it a historic opportunity, arguing the EU's focus must shift from Russia first to Ukraine now. Italy also voiced strong support for Ukraine's full membership, while also stressing the need for continued reforms. Euronews asked the European Commissioner for Enlargement if the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban is right when he claims Ukraine's membership would completely destroy the European market, dry out cohesion funds and harm Hungary.
He's not right, because we will have Ukraine as one of the members of the EU in the future. We are working on this. 26 EU member states support this vision. We could end all the screening processes in this year, so we will be ready when the Council will be able to bring the conclusion to open all the clusters. I am sure that this will be able in this year. But of course, we have to work also with Hungary.
Kyiv believes that as Europe is searching for a new point of equilibrium on geopolitical security, economics and values, the result of the war for Ukraine will be crucial for the continent's future.
Russia launched 145 Shahed and decoy drones on Ukraine in overnight attacks, according to Ukraine's Air Force. In the southern city of Mykolaiv, at least 10 people were injured and apartments and belongings were damaged following Russian strikes. The regions targeted include Donetsk, Kharkiv and Kyiv. Meanwhile, the head of the Opishnia community, Mykola Riznik, situated in the Poltava region, said that they came under shelling, injuring one person and causing damage to the town. Ukraine said it had shot down 85 drones, while 49 went off radar. According to the Institute for the Study of War, Ukrainian General Alexander Syrsky confirmed intensified Russian attacks across all main fronts, including new offensives in the eastern Sumy and Kharkiv regions.
Russian-American Ksenia Karelina landed in the U.S. on Thursday night after being freed by Russia in exchange for a Russian-German man jailed on smuggling charges in the U.S. Karelina was met at the Joint Base Andrews in Maryland by family and friends. She was among a growing number of Americans arrested in Russia in recent years as tensions between Moscow and Washington spiked over the war in Ukraine. The dual national was arrested in February 2024 in Russia and convicted of treason on charges stemming from a donation of about $52 to a charity aiding Ukraine. U.S. authorities have called the case ludicrous. Her release is the latest in a series of high-profile prisoner exchanges Russia and the U.S. carried out in the last 3 years, and the second since Trump took office.